Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going today? I am the Digital Ham, and today I'm finally getting the opportunity to do my review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. For those of you who have not seen the film, please go ahead and skip this video because I don't really want to spoil anything for anybody, and there are spoilers in this review. First being the plot. Now, there are a lot of people that I've spoken to after seeing the movie that have stated that this is nothing but a remake of A New Hope. And to a degree, I really understand what they're saying. By the same token, I really don't. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you went somewhere. Yes, everything has the similar feel, but things are different. They have a different sensation to them when you get a little bit older. This has the sensation and the feel of Star Wars, but it is not a 100% remake. Although there are a lot of similarities. The similarities are uncanny. First of all, we have a droid that is carrying special plans or secret plans. There is a nemesis, of course, all of those conclusions that you can draw. But pretty much the plot of this film is, one, they are trying to find, and we're talking about the rebellion, are trying to find Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker has gone into hiding, exile, just as Obi-Wan and Yoda had. And so he has not let anybody know where he is in this galaxy, and they are trying to hunt him down and find him. The Empire, on the other hand, is not considered the Empire anymore. They are considered the First Order. Now, the First Order is I guess they're a little bit more powerful, but at the same time, it's really hard to figure out whether they are or they are not. That is pretty much the basis of the two sides of the evil and the good. Now, this is where the uncanny part of the two films start coming together. They built a battle station, pretty much a updated 2.0 version of Death Star. And this has the ability to destroy planets. And so the rebellion or the resistance is trying to go in and destroy that. And so that's where some of these things start coming from, where people are like, okay, it's a remake. But I do want to state this though. The plot really, in my opinion, even though it's not a fresh take, it's still fresh new characters, some of the old characters mixed in there. And I can still respect it, and I fully enjoyed it. Even if it was a 100% remake of the original, it still felt very Star Wars. It still felt very comfortable, and I enjoyed it a lot. We have new characters introduced in this film. We have Rey, we have Finn, we also have BB-8, which is the new droid. I will negate, there is one character in there that I'm not going to talk about, just because if you haven't seen the film and you're watching this, I don't want to ruin everything for you. But Finn, let's talk about Finn for a second. Finn is a stormtrooper who has pretty much turned. He's turned to the good side. He realizes that life, being a stormtrooper, is pretty much do what everybody says, kill, and he has that emotional attachment between him and the other people that he has, worked with. And he understands that it's not just all about the killing, that you're taking a human life is really the main feeling that he gets from it. So he changes his ways. Then you have Rey. Now, Rey is a very mysterious kind of character, very deep, but at the same time very shallow in the way that she comes across on screen. She's very powerful. She reminds me a lot of Princess Leia in the fact that she doesn't really need anybody's help. But if you do help her, she's going to reaffirm, listen, I don't need your help, but yeah, you can help me, it's fine. So she's a very strong character, and she is extremely powerful in the Force. And that's going to lead into something else here in a few minutes that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth. But what I'm going to go ahead and talk about now is I'm going to talk about BB-8. Now, going into this movie, I seen the little characters, and I saw the toys that came out and all of the merchandise, and I really didn't want to like BB-8. I have R2-D2. R2-D2 is my boy, that's my dude. So I really didn't want this new character to come in and kind of, step on top of, R2-D2 and push him down and him be, the glorious new droid. But I found in the film that did not happen. They kind of worked hand in hand, although the screen time of R2D2 is very, very short. It still didn't matter. I really fell in love with the character. The droid is just hilarious. He does a lot of cool stuff. Plus, he is actual tactile. He's a real, legitimate robot that they're operating on set, and that gave it a really, really good feel. I was really concerned that there was going to be maybe the CGI parts in it, but it seemed like all of it was done in real life. So that was awesome. Now let's talk about the characters that are not so good, the Sith characters. So we have Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is AKA Ben. Ben is actually the son of Leia and Han. And so what you have there is you have a kid who kind of falls into the same lines as Anakin. He could have gone good, but he decided to go bad. And he's kind of like the prodigal son to Han and Leia. And so I like this character, and I want to dig into this character for just a second here. The reasons that I like this character and the reasons that I do not like this character. For one, I do not like him because he is like a whiny little bitch. And he gets so aggravated when things don't go his way. He has everything plotted out in his mind, and when things start going awry, he just flips out and has extreme anger problems. One of the downfalls of the Sith, of course, we have anger, greed, and power. And so you can see that he has such potential and he has such power, but at the same time, he has that one thing that's kind of pulling him down really, really hard, and that's his anger. So you can kind of really see that. The second thing that I do not like about the character is he takes off his mask entirely too much in the film. If he would have kept his mask on, he would have really put himself on the same line, not the same equal power or anything like that, but he would have put himself on a very, very level plateau with Darth Vader. One of the reasons that I think Darth Vader is so menacing and is so scary is because of the fact that that mask removes any kind of humanization to the character. You cannot read in his facial expressions, his eyes, his mouth. You cannot see any of those things that would give you telltale signs of whether he's showing emotion, anger, hatred, whatever it may be. He's blank. He's a blank canvas. By taking the mask off of Kylo Ren, it really dehumanized him and made him be a bitch. I'm sorry. It just, that's the way it came off to me in the film. And I was like, dang it, why'd they take his mask off? They should have kept it on. Although in some of the trailers, I saw that his mask was removed. I could see his hair, and I was like, well, crap, I already knew this was coming, but I was really hoping that they would hold out on it. Unfortunately, that happened, but I understand. But by the same token, I think that it would have hammered it home a little bit harder of how powerful he was if he wouldn't have dehumanized himself. So, and that leads me to the next character, which is the Sith Master, which is Supreme Leader Snoke. And to be honest with you, there's not much presence of him in the film, really, except for a couple holograms. He's not really a prominent figure in the film, but just in the same way as, you know, the Emperor was in the previous movies. You really don't get enough feel, and that's why the second movie is going to be really developing for those two characters, in my personal opinion. Now, I'd said something about previously with the whole thing with Rey, and I was going to talk about something here in just a few seconds. This is where I started coming into a lot of thought process. I was trying to keep my mind kind of dead and not working at the time. I just wanted to enjoy the film. But unfortunately for me, my brain was just thinking, and the cogs in my head were turning, and I couldn't help it. So this is the conclusion that I came to. And this is going to be really expansive, but keep with me, and I hope you can follow me on this. So you have this character, Rey, who is extremely, extremely powerful. In fact, she's even more powerful in the Force with no Force training than actually Kylo Ren. She's actually like defeating him in his purpose of trying to gain information from her. And so one of the things that I looked at was, I was like, okay, well, if he's not as powerful as she is, and she has more potential once she taps into it and learns the trade and the training of becoming a Jedi and using the Force, then how the heck did she get all this power? Well, the only conclusion for me was Luke. I believe that she is the daughter of Luke, and I have a couple reasons for this. For one, the main thing that I want to cover about this that really solidified it for me was the midichlorian theory, okay, and the midichlorian storyline, okay, that ties everything in. And I know there's a lot of people that are going, God, I hate that, and I understand, okay? But by the same token, the midichlorian factor in the Star Wars galaxy and Star Wars realm really helps put bookends on what is plausible and what is not plausible inside this universe. So the reason I say that is, okay, if anybody can just tap into the Force, and the Force is just something that is inanimate that anybody can tap into, it leaves you literally with the endless realm of possibilities of Sith and possibility of Jedi. That means that anybody can tap into it. Now, some people are going to be more devoted to it than others. So some people might pursue the training, some people might not. And so this is where it got really complicated for me. But when I sat down and I thought about it, okay, it was like, well, if they do it this way, then it means that through generations, literally you would only have Sith and you would only have your Jedi. Because it's actually through your blood. And so it made sense to me. Now, somebody in a comment that I had kind of like a not really an argument, but a conversation with, different perspectives, different points. They had brought up, well, J.J. Abrams had made a statement previous to the film being released that said he was not going to bring up the whole midichlorian thing in this film. And that's fine. And I understand what he's saying. But for one, let me go ahead and say this. J.J. Abrams has lied. In Star Trek, he said that he was not going to bring Khan in, and he sure as shit did. So let's just go ahead and negate that. I don't think that he's that guy who's going to go, no, I'm not going to have it in the film and it be legit. Because in all honesty, if they were to ask him, okay, well, is it going to be an integral part of this film? If he said, well, I really don't want to talk about that, then people would automatically assume yes. Okay, so by him saying blatantly no, then people are like, well, he said it. No, there it is, okay? But that is not the case. I think everything points back to the midichlorian theory, okay? Because of the fact that it is canon, second of all, he cannot mitigate anything from the storyline that is canon. Now, he doesn't have to cover it specifically in the film, but he still cannot remove it from the theory and the mythos of the storyline. So, by saying all that, I say this. You have the son of Leia and Han, Finn, aka Kylo Ren. He is force sensitive. But if you look at Kylo Ren, or if you look at Leia and you look at Luke, who is more powerful? Of course, it's going to be Luke. But Leia still has some perception and still has some sensitivity, force sensitivity, okay? But the big thing that I'm looking at here is she was born after Luke was. And I know this sounds really stupid because there's nothing really to go base this off of, because a lot of the books that were trying to clarify things are no longer canon. But the way that I look at it is he was the firstborn, he was the male, he was the son of Anakin. The daughter, maybe she didn't get as many midichlorians, or she doesn't have as much of a strong presence with the Force as Luke. So therefore, I say Rey is Luke's daughter. That's the only conclusion that I can draw. And by the midichlorian factor, okay, when you have the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the death of Yoda, the Executive Order 66 that was carried out in the previous films, which pretty much means that they decimated all the altars in historical sites for the Jedi and all the records, and pretty much killed the younglings and everything else that Anakin did, and including the stormtroopers that had turned. Pretty much there leaves you nobody left. So what I'm saying is this: in this massive, giant universe, there can only be Luke. There can only be Leia. There are the only two. Now, where does Supreme Leader Snoke come from? I have no idea. I don't know if he's an introduction, a new introduction, or maybe he's an old character from one of the books or something. that they went ahead and they brought in, I don't know that answer. And so that kind of leaves you hanging on a cliffhanger. But by the same token, maybe he's of the line of midi-chlorians that was never passed down, and he's the last descendant. Just as Luke is the last Jedi, and pretty much unless somebody goes through training with Luke, there cannot be any more Jedis. That's why I believe that he was in hiding. So that is a big, massive, like around the corner, down the road way of getting to the point. But I wanted to kind of make sure that people understood where I was coming from with this theory. Now, once again, this is just a theory, but I think it holds water. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree, disagree, if you have any counter arguments to this, maybe something that I overlooked or I don't know. Like I have never said it before, but I didn't read a lot of the books because of the issue of things not being canon and not tying into the storyline of the movies made it really hard for me to read books that had absolutely nothing to do with nothing, or storylines and characters that really never tied into the film. So now that things are canon, I'll probably go back and read some of that stuff. But anyways, so thanks a lot, guys, for checking out this video. Please comment, subscribe, and like this video. If you like this review and you want to see some more of my films, please stop by my channel. Remember, subscribing always gives you the ability to get notices whenever I post anything. So